after you have made your biscuits for a while, time after time, then suddenly you can just do it in much less than 5 minutes, the whole process.
Well, I'm looking forward to being able to make 5-minute biscuits. I'm sure my family is too. This is my father-in-law, Jimmy Freeman, who is also known as Papa Freeman. And he's going to tell us just a little bit a story about biscuits now. And now, Papa, I want you to compare Nanny's biscuits to all the other biscuits you've ever eaten in your whole 71 years.
There's no comparison.
You
She
think?
made the best biscuits I've ever eaten. My mama was sacred.
But your mother was not quite as good
Not
as your
as good
mother.
as not as good as
Nanny.
Teenie's, no.
That's right. Okay, and then you've got a story you can tell us about biscuits, and I remember you telling this several times.
This old man said that he was visiting in a home and said that a lady was making biscuits and said she had her hands in the dough and said her the snot, I reckon you'd say, was coming down, said she'd suck it back up, and said it. He started to leave and said, the man said, "You're not going to stay and eat with us?" He said, "Well, it's just according to how the drop falls."
Now, have you ever seen Nanny have that problem?
Man, he hadn't got that problem. He'd just go ahead and fall.
If she had that problem, we'd just eat her biscuits anyway. They're that good.
I go ahead and eat them. I try to figure out which one it fell in.
Okay, we've heard the oven beep that it was ready for the biscuits, so continue us on, Nanny. And where do you put the rack in the oven for biscuits?
Try to have a rack in the center of the oven, and of course it varies depending on the stove.
Mm-hmm. But most of them just put it to
on
the
the
bottom
bottom and some on the top. So mine's pretty much both, so that works good.
And while you've been making biscuits, Rusty the dog's been standing over here giving his 2 cents worth because he likes Nanny biscuits and he's wanting some. He likes them too. Everybody in the family just loves your biscuits.
Well, I appreciate that.
Well, Jay.
Okay, now we have Miss Kendall Chapman, who is Nanny's second granddaughter, and she's going to give us one of Nanny's biscuit stories.
Usually she would help me write. I'd help her make the biscuits, and hers would be all perfect, and mine would be the giant one, the size of the Bojangles biscuits. Anyway.
Have you learned to make biscuits on your own?
I have. I'm improving.
Do you make them for your family?
I hadn't gotten that far yet, but...
Okay, I have a biscuit story for you, Nanny. Mike and I have been married 26 years, but when we first got married in May of 1980, I made Mike some biscuits one time because he always thought he had to have biscuits at every meal. So I made biscuits, and he's going, "These aren't like my mama's biscuits." "Why don't you learn to make biscuits like my mama?" And I said, "Well, first of all, Mike, I am not your mama. And if you need your mama's biscuits, you need to go home." And so from that day, he never asked me to make biscuits again. But now I can make them.
Okay, you've had your instructions.
I've had instructions, and I can make them. Okay, the biscuits we think are ready, Nanny. So you want to show us how to check them to be sure?
Mm-hmm. I usually check to be sure they're brown on the bottom, not necessarily because if you get used to making them, you'll pretty well be able to look at them and tell. And then
there's a pan of good hot biscuits.
And ready for some syrup and some butter and
vegetable soup.
Yep.
And they smell wonderful. I can't wait to have one.
And you see this pot of vegetable soup?
Well, you've just been cooking all day, Nan.
It's got every kind of fresh vegetable in it, so it's going to really be good for you.
Right out of your garden.
Well, some of it.
Well, we've got good hot biscuits, and I can't think of anything better than tasting one. And here's Jay Chapman, Nanny's grandson. He's going to give us his opinion. They are A-OK, aren't they?